های بسیار عزیز، خوش آمدید به یکی دیگر از برنامه‌های آرویو در تلویزیون اندیشه. خوشحال هستیم که در خدمتتون هستیم. سوزی خاتمی هستم، تهیه کننده و مجری برنامه‌ای که خوشحالم بگم که مورد پسندتون این مدت واقع شده. در کنار من دوست عزیزم، همکار بسیار خوب که دعوت برنامه‌ها رو قبول کردن، با این همه مشغله واقعا فراوانی که دارن بین پیشنت‌های خودشون، بین کارهایی که انجام میدن، همچنین در میدیا، رادیو شویی که دارن، وقت گذاشتن و محبت میکنن. هر هفته به برنامه میان و در کنار ما هستن. خانم دکتر فوژان زین، خیلی خوشحالم که امروز هم در کنار شما هستیم.
مرسی از شما. خوشحالم که دوباره در کنار شما و میهمانان عالی و با مباحث خیلی خیلی خوب هستیم امروز.
بله، خیلی شوی جالبی امروز داریم. من و خانم دکتر زین این شانس رو داشتیم و این فرصت رو که به دیدن یک نمایشی بریم که جمعه شب گذشته پریمیر شب افتتاحیه نمایش بود که نامش هست اینفیدل.
منم اینجا نشون بدم.
بله، شما اینجا جست بوکلتش رو بیایید تا ما بیشتر بعد در موردش با شما علاقه‌مندان صحبت بکنیم. نمایشنامه فوق‌العاده متفاوتی بود فوژان جون و ما دعوت کردیم از کارگردان و نویسنده این نمایشنامه که آقایی هستن که متولد پولند هستن. فارسی پولند همون پولند میشه؟ لهستان. مرسی، به من رسوندن. همیشه help is good. لهستان هستن ولی الان از سال 84 باید بگم که به آمریکا آمدن، if I'm not mistaken سالش رو، و اینجا هم مشغول فعالیت‌های کاری و زمینه تئاتری خودشون هستن که این نمایش رو put together کردن. فوق‌العاده دیدنی و جالب هست این نمایش. چندین بازیگر هم در این نمایش حضور داشتن که ما تونستیم از 2 نفر از این بازیکنان و بازیگران دعوت بکنیم که به ما ملحق بشن. یکی از اونها نیما جعفری عزیز هست که ایرانی آمریکایی هست و الان حدوداً 10-11 سال میشه که به آمریکا آمده و خوشحال هستیم که دعوت برنامه رو پذیرفته. در نیمه اول فوژان جون با نیما و کریس صحبت میکنیم و بعد هم دعوت میکنیم از بازیگر بعدی که خانم انیشا هستن و هندی الاصل هستن ولی فارسی هم خوب صحبت میکنن. ایشون هم قرار هست که به ما در نیمه دوم ملحق بشن. پارت اول رو با اجازهتون به زبان انگلیسی شروع میکنیم به خاطر احترام مهمانمون که کارگردان هستن، آقای کریس وندا، و شروع میکنیم صحبتمون را. موافق باشید. Ready to go?
Ready to go.
Welcome guys to the show today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Wonderful play. My
Yes.
God, so powerful.
Thank you.
Yes, beautiful.
Yes, what made you, Chris?
Impactful, really impactful.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What made you come up with such a great play? And
Well, I started to get interested in this issue, and it started that, we have the main conflict of the world now is terrorism, and mostly due to religious fundamentalism. And each time I see young terrorists strap him or herself with explosive
Right.
and blows him up in the public, killing himself
And
and a variety of strangers, it made me wonder where these things come from. And at the same time he shouts, Allahu Akbar. So obviously from the human point of view it is an evil act, because why would you kill strangers, people you don't know? But this person is motivated by God. And that was really puzzling to me. I understand freedom fighters who fight the invaders, but that I don't. And of course it bothered me each time. It's like a puzzle, but I had no idea for the play. Idea for the play I've got when I've seen on the internet a group of Islamist fundamentalists destroying ancient art with huge hammers.
Yes.
right.
And it was a very bizarre to me, and I look at that scene, it was so irrational, so surreal, but it was real, but it looks like theater. And I said, well, that's the scene. That's the first scene I have for the play, and really inspired me, and it outraged me as a liberal. If people disrespect art, it always make me uneasy, but to destroy that,
You wonder why.
You wonder why. And of course I went, okay, they destroyed it on account that were polytheistic idol. Of course, it's written in the Quran, but it was an issue in 7th century BC, not now. So I see, of course, it's sort of ignorance, because if they understood that is a great piece of art, they would never do that.
Right.
Right.
So they must be ignorant, they must be just brainwashed, indoctrinated with these things. And then I say, oh, here's the subject for my play, which was incongruity between culture and religion.
Right.
And then it took me far back as subject is concerned. You know, why you've seen, I talk about the Epic of Gilgamesh,
Yes.
Right.
Ali God, and so on. Because I want to know what is the source of religion, where it comes from. And in the first place, it comes from the people always were trying to handle the unknown, and they're making up stories.
Right.
At the time, first gods are created by humans, is no doubt about it. Everyone interpreted freely.
Sure.
But the moment monotheism came, the dogma is created, and orthodoxy and definitions of God, and you cannot question that.
Right.
And there is the separations of culture and religious happen at that moment.
So when we're looking at the play Infidel, and I keep saying the name so you can all know what it is, it's Infidel and it's playing, and we'll tell you where it's playing. It seems like it's about the Islamic extremists who come out and are attempting to take someone who is an archaeologist. And each person who is in the group has a different perspective of why they're there.
Yeah.
So you are taking a conversation that people might have and a conversation that happens now globally with fear and with darkness and enemy and all of that. And then another group are looking at it and not knowing what's going on. You're taking, as you said, the mask off.
Yes.
And looking at there isn't just one part. Other people who are in it, each person is there for a reason. So there might be one aspect of Nima that you had, it was someone who had a lot of rage. And the rage was kept showing, and this was a vehicle to just show up with the rage. Another person really believed, and they wanted the peace and the message of Quran to be given to the world. So even when in any of the interactions, there was a part that the person wanted to teach everybody.
Yeah.
And then there was someone who came from London and became extremist, and then became got a wife, Islamic wife, and they were just learning about all of it. So, and you were right, because all of these components are part of what we actually see globally.
Yeah.
And how that related to their humanity, their love, the part that they had together, the way that they would, one person would show their anger or rage and the other one would come in and hold them. These interactions were really beautiful. I'm letting you know, that's just a beautiful play for you guys to see. And also the interaction between that group with the such as the Americans and
Right.
people who were, so all of these interactions had a lot of not only beautiful emotion, but a lot of absolutely amazing information.
I want to interject here and say something from a different perspective, and that is us being Iranian and familiar with Islam and knowing what's that side maybe a little about. To your other parts of audience, which are non-Iranian, non-Muslim, coming to see this play, what did everyone or what did each individual have to say about this after seeing the play, and what was really the message that you as a director and writer of this play wanted to portray to your audience?
Well, first, as you beautifully described, I wanted to take those masks off, because we here in the West show those Islamists mostly as faceless monsters, and that's it. And I don't believe that, so I have to show that everyone has its own motive and there's humanity behind that. And that's right, that was why there were various of characters. We'll let them know. And since the setup was the predicament that an American anthropologist is kidnapped and kept in the cave for ransom, the interactions between them evolved to the talk about meaning of religions, and of course,
Right.
as you notice, all of them trying to convince each others. And that was for me to introduce those ideas to the audience, for not only American and the West, what Islam is. And myself, when I started to write the play, I had no idea, besides of the surface knowledge about that. So I read Quran for the purpose to write the play.
I was just going to actually ask that question
Yeah.
of you. So you did read Quran yourself personally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did that, and I thought, and the experience of the main character, John Norton, is similar. He doesn't know Islam in the first, ancient things, but not Islam.
Right.
So I thought how it would be when you first time are introduced to Islam, and what I write in the play, it was what I was interested to find out when I was making research, and I said, well, what at all religion is, and. I introduce basic prayers, basic rituals, and then I use some text from the Quran. Let's the audience read that, see that, and make them their own judgment what it is, or what is supposed to be or not supposed to be.
Now, what is your intake of what you read in Quran and about Islam? Did you see or did you come upon anything that kind of states the fact or kind of agrees with what's going on as far as the terrorism, all that? Did it anywhere say, or any verses in Quran kind of encourages people or their followers to do so, or not really? Or is it something that people use the name of Quran in order to do what they want to do and get away with it?
You can find in Quran whatever you need.
Okay.
Overall message that God is merciful and forgiving, and each chapter begins that way, but each chapter ends with condemning those who do not believe and sending them to hell.
And you brought this duality beautifully throughout the play.
Yeah. And then that is there. So whatever, if you read Quran literally, and so you can find message that you're supposed to be dead, but it is complex because even extremist terrorists, of course, they have those passages and they get inspired by that. If Allah condemned those infidels to burn, so let's slaughter them. We are justified. But in fact, Quran has passages that forbid to force people to convert them to Islam. There's certain ethic. More people are troubled who were once Muslims and they lived the faith. Basically, they're in danger of death sentence according to the Quran for doing so. But if you are from other faiths, you are safe, and no one would force you. You are not supposed to, because they believe that only God can bring blessing of faith.
Right.
Humans,
Right.
they encourage to introduce that to others, but not to force them.
Okay, now coming to find your cast, because you had about 6-7 players, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Did you personally choose them, or did you have a casting director?
I had casting director.
You
yes.
had a casting director,
Yes.
because I know a few of them are Persian, Iranians,
Yeah.
right? Like Nima, and there's another gentleman.
I'm still Iranian.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, Raoul Stark, who is the casting director, he's known in town that when asked casting ethnic, he really is good in it. He brought many people. Of course, I decide who is going to be in the play. And it somehow happened that many Iranians are in the play.
Right. How did you find Nima and his acting? Pretend he's not listening right now.
Well, you are not here. He is firstly that he's the kind of actor who is he's driven to create in order also something. So he gives you various propositions. He will surprise you. Maybe we do that or that, and I think so. He's as for professional for acting, he has a good personality because he has some fun to do so. So he's incredibly driven. And that is very valid because, of course, when I direct, I get to keep with characters in being the character and realize what's the obligations of the play. But it's not everything because you have a live person in front of you, and character in the play is only just a blueprint, but it is without human essence. The human essence provides an actor, and each actor is unique individual.
Totally.
So I have to observe this actor, what comes out of it, and to see how he or she sees that, and how it comes, how it finds itself in the play. So that's kind of, and I follow those impulses. And how to utilize that. And an actor as spontaneous as Nima is, that is particularly the case.
That's lovely.
Your role brought up a lot of emotions for me, and I'm assuming the audience. And the emotion that brought up was a lot of anger, rage, and looking at, and it was interesting because although anger and rage was there, but there was no darkness around you. Like you would look at you, and there was this fun and play, and someone who's there for the purpose that of the play and your role. But then when you got into the space of rage and hatred, and even messages, like there were like gremlin messages that you were giving in those times, they were very impactful. There was some, at one scene, I'm not going to tell you, you got to go.
That's right.
At one scene, I think that every one of us were like,
On the edge of our seat.
on the edge of our seat, and it's just this quietness that suddenly happened. So beautiful portray of, and even for us that we know a lot of these conversations and what happens, it was very impressive. So thank you.
Tell us, Nimajan,
Thank
about
you.
your experience in this play, please.
Have the most challenge with that part of
Yeah.
the play because as Nima, I'm nonviolent. So whenever I get that sense of rage, I go play a soccer pickup game.
Get it out of your system.
I go dance, and with this, Qasim is his name, and Qasim is awesome. That I always tell myself.
That's a good
Qasim.
That's right.
Qasim, ما بگیم قاسم حتی یعنی somebody who is sworn, somebody who is committed and is going to get there. And as an actor, I'm committed to my craft. So
Definitely.
whenever I get when I need to draw that parallel between really having to fight against something and pushing through a boundary that is here for now. What can I do to change my tactic to go through this? This was a very timely character for me to play now because, not to bring the party down, but we had a passing in the family about a month ago before we opened the play. And thank you. But it in a way, it kind of, I imagine a 16, 17-year-old kid that never really had any guidance in life. And the one guidance that they had now left them. And they've been taught to blame somebody else for that. Somebody who never really got a chance to look at both sides and educate. I got really lucky. I got to grow up in Iran and read all the poetry in Farsi there, and then when I came to the US, I had really good teachers who taught me Shakespeare and all sorts of other great writers.
You're a very talented young person.
Hey, it takes one to know one.
No, thank you. But no, seriously, I mean, having lived here for such a short time, considering, and you're doing so well, and you adapted yourself, the language, the no barrier at all. It's amazing, don't you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Again, I gotta say thank you to my teachers and my parents because they gave me that backpack of accessories before I left. Not an actual backpack, just
Did you actually learn English back at home, or?
Yes, back in Iran, I used to be tutored with 10 or 11 other kids in an underground basement of a wonderful gentleman who was not allowed to work officially after the revolution because of ties that he used to have to the
I
former
see.
government. So in his classroom underground, that's where I learned English.
Must have been a
Wow.
good teacher,
Yeah,
but
he
you
was-
are an intelligent
Definitely.
He was
person
great.
yourself, and both.
By Farrokh Seresht. Yes, he was.
Wow.
He's great. He's still around. I'm still in touch with him. And coming to this play, I sort of had to make a decision right away for myself to see, okay, and thank you for all the wonderful things you said. I was also directing something at the time. So it was fun because I was directing something, and whatever my actors would do that I didn't necessarily, it was like, okay, this actor is helping me as the director. I would try to replicate those actors and bring that to,
So that was
to this
helpful.
rehearsal. So yeah, so just going back and forth,
Cool.
that helped. It was like the gift that kept giving. And coming into this play, I grew up in Iran, and in Iran you don't really have an option, and I grew up in Hamadan. It wasn't,
Is that where you were born?
I was
And
born in
raised?
Tehran.
Born
and
in
then
Tehran,
from
but-
6 months old, I grew up in Hamadan. So
I see.
I'm the only Hamadani in my family.
Wow, okay.
And I have fun with that with them. But yeah, so growing up there, having been sort of given all this as a given, and then having a chance to travel, having a chance to go in within myself and sit with the voice inside in the silence and see, okay, what do I believe? And I believe. As Nima, I believe, but I don't force feed it to anybody.
Oh.
I try to lead by example.
And now back to the play. How long did you guys practice before you did the premiere? And I know since the premiere, the show will happen twice a week,
Yes,
on Saturday
yes.
and
Sundays.
Sunday, right? Saturday at 8 p.m. and Sunday at 3, and we'll let you know more about where the play is taking
We can-
place.
5 weeks rehearsals, 4 times per week.
Wow.
3 hours every day.
Okay.
It is a complex play, and there
It
are a
is.
variety of techniques used. Because we create, on one hand, it is a suspense thriller, and they play those actions because it's about kidnapping, trying to escape. All these elements are there. So in the stage we have to find out techniques how to show it. Others is about very spiritual, because the spirituals are about religions, and to tackle those subjects intellectually, each actor had to dig deeply into
Into
it.
themselves, yes.
To have authority to deliver to the audience, to the characters. So it was just more or less a right time and absolutely needed.
Now, according to the time, I want to not forget to ask you one of the very important questions from where I stand, at least, and that's from the American media. If there were American medias there on the night of the premiere, what was their take after seeing this play? Because you
I don't
heard
know.
our side and
Yeah,
a little bit here and there, but I'd like to know what they were thinking after.
I don't know yet. There was some reviews start to appear, and this already a race of it. Like one was very just brilliant, incredible productions. Others, some radicals on some sides accuse me of being anti-Islam. The others accuse me that I promote Islam. So it
So
is
you
a-
heard all sides.
have all sides. They cannot see two sides. There's a dialogue. They
I
present.
experienced it
Yeah.
as I was telling you. I experienced this as someone who was watching. There were times that I would be experiencing like this play is really pro-Islam, and it was like that's interesting. And then 3 seconds later is like absolutely anti.
Yeah.
And then 2 minutes later is like there it is. It's pro. And so it's all of it at the same time. It's like just bringing information from all different sides and putting it in front of you, and then having the audience really make their own decision
Totally.
based on that information, which
That's
I
what
think
we're
is
able
great.
to let the audience to interpret on their own.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think that first scene sort of puts the pin into what the issue is, because with any sort of art, it's like a mirror, and if we don't like what we see, then we have an option. Do we go in and do the work on ourselves, or do we break the mirror?
Yeah.
And I
That's
think
right.
what we show with these guys at first is that they're the ones who would break the mirror.
Right.
But that's
right.
bad luck.
Good point. Good point. But I honestly, just like Dr. Zain Fujanjun mentioned, I felt the same. At the very beginning, at some parts, they were like, I'm thinking, I thought Chris was not Muslim. Why is he, putting it, like portraying it as like pro-Islam? And then as I was kind of trying to figure that out, and I thought, no, that's not what he's trying to do. So I really think, therefore, at the end, I came up with this conclusion after seeing the play that, if anything, you were extremely fair into how to portray every actor, every side of the story. You just did it so well that at any given point in time, we thought, oops, that's what he means, but then again, not really. Yeah. So I think overall, I give you 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up, yeah.
Also, for what it's worth, it was great.
For also our audience to know that the play was not about Islam itself. It was, but I get it that you have brought the religion in order to also show the concept that has come up with around the globe, which is the conversation about terrorism, which has been, has used Islam for that. So I just hope that everybody doesn't think this is a play only about Islam. This is a play.
Glad you pointed that out.
Yes, this is a play about the duality of what's going on, where a religion which claims that they're about peace, and this is what you also said in there, that it's about peace, it's now creating such a brutal conversations, and then also has some political implications, because obviously all of those informations are in there, and why is it that this is happening? So it's political, it's religious, it's societal. It also talks about the women and men. It has a sex scene in there. You got to see.
That's true.
So it's got everything that you can imagine.
It's really hard to be focused on stage during that. I'm laying down and I'm like, oh, don't look.
It was hard to create the rage for yourself and keep it up whilst 2 people are having sex.
But anyway.
I'm glad that you bring that up. I want to interject here for a second. There's a lot of dialogue between the military leader of the Islamic group as well as the ambassador of the United States,
and
they specifically go away from religion, and now we start talking about
business.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
business is business,
and it's a survival thing at some point. So in that moment, again, it's like, sometimes in life, if you can't have dinner at night, your dad might tell you a funny story, and then you go to sleep. So
very well
and that's where the creativity is worth more than
place. Absolutely. Well, I'd like to thank you, Chris, for accepting our invitation and being here.
My pleasure.
Totally appreciate that, and a well done job. And we will explain more about where the play takes place, and so our viewers will come and support your great show.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
بیننده‌های
عزیز با ما همراه باشید، چون یکی دیگه از بازیگرای پلی اینفیدل رو الان به برنامه دعوت می‌کنیم، انیشا، که به ما ملحق خواهد شد.
Like the minute I heard that part, I was like, all right.
خب خوش آمدید. در ادامه برنامه آرویو همچنان با شما هستیم و یکی از مهمانامون جاشون رو عوض کردن، کارگردان شو اینفیدل که محبت کردن به ما ملحق شده بودن، کریس، حالا ایشون تشریف بردن و یکی از بازیگرای اینفیدل به ما ملحق شد، دختر خانومی که تنها خانومی بود که اون شب بازیگر بود میان آقایان بازیگر. Anisha, thanks for being here.
Merci.
Anisha, by the way, speaks Farsi, so شو قراره به از الان به بعد هم فارسی باشه هم انگلیسی right؟
آره من میخوام فارسی یاد بگیرم.
باریکلا شما انقدر خوب از کجا فارسی یاد گرفتی؟
یک زبان کافی نیست.
یک زبان کافی نیست. Bravo, smart girl we have here. خب انیشا جون, congratulations by the way you have just finished the USC, right?
Thank
So
you.
feels good, okay?
It feels good to
I
be
bet.
done with school.
راحت شدی به قول ما ایرانیا. خلاص.
من شکل ایرانی؟
جان تو شکل ایرانی میتونی باشی.
آره، you can definitely
آره
be.
چرا که نه.
That's all I hear.
Yeah, you can
Sorry,
definitely.
همه
She's
بهت
saying
میگن
you're relieved
داوود,
that you're done.
Oh, sorry.
چی میگه به؟
We got lost in translation.
Translation. Yeah,
Oh.
I think we should do the English version.
No, but it's okay. Man,
But she did say she wants to speak French.
That's what the play is
آره،
about.
ولی
But
هیبت
stuff gets
ترجمه
lost in
کنیم
translation too,
That is
actually.
true. That is true.
Okay, so let's switch to our English so everyone would be more comfortable here. Tell us, Anisha, about joining this play. We talked to the director and the writer. He told us about how the story came about, etc., etc. And now we want to hear your side of the story. How were you picked by the casting director?
I actually heard about the project from a friend whose mentor is a Persian director, and he reached out to my friend because my friend had mentioned about me to his mentor. And after that, I auditioned for the play. I met Chris and Rebecca, and I loved their vibe. And I was like, you know, I just graduated. This is a great opportunity. So I had one round of audition where I had to do my own choices of the script. And then they had a second round of audition for me where Chris was directing me and playing around to see how we work together. And next thing I know, I'm in this play with all these crazy people. I love
Thank God
them
for
though.
you. No, we actually, she jumped in about 2 weeks before we opened the play. And like a true professional, picked up everything really quickly. And well, you guys saw the play.
Yeah, you had a lot of amazing parts in the play. Not just from an actor's place, but also from the most important factors that were also there between the relationship of the female and the male that comes, partly was coming, conversation were coming through the religion itself, but also the role that you were playing also from a nurturing stance of a female where if someone was coming from their race, someone was coming from their cognition of, you know, teaching the Islam and all of that, your role came in a lot from loving, taking care of, the nurturance, and bringing the peace into the space as you were. And then suddenly, to all of our surprise, in a conversation that we have Islam and terrorism in, suddenly there's this amazing sex scene that is happening with you in it. And it's like, okay, that's a surprise.
Yeah,
This surprised us all.
Yeah, sure did. I wanted to give this character a lot of layers. I wanted to make her strong, but I also wanted her to be vulnerable, and I wanted her to use her love to change the mind of her stage lover, Jamil, to give up being a suicide bomber and come into her love. So the sex scene was basically me wanting to have his child. But since he didn't want to, I had to use tactics with my
All
love.
manipulative tactics that were there.
Yeah, I had to listen
The
to
highest
my...
form of creation,
Yes.
Right?
Sure, guys, okay. I wanted to use my female instincts for this character because we women, we're so multi-layered, as any other human. We have...
You're simple. No, I'm just kidding.
You're just straight, bro.
I have
You're
those.
like
I have
meat and
some days
potatoes.
when I'm aligned, and those days I'm trustworthy. On the other days, I should be in my corner. Just
Okay, glad you explained that. So we watch for you.
Yeah. So that sex scene, from my point of view, was just full of love and creating a baby, you know, creating life, being with someone you love forever, spiritual love.
Right, right.
I grew up with Rumi's poetry.
Good for you. That's wonderful. Now, were you born in India? Where were you born?
I was born in Kenya, in Nairobi.
In Kenya. That's beautiful. And how old were you when you actually came to LA?
I was 18 years old when I came to
18
LA.
years old. Is this one of the very first plays that you took part in, or have you had, you know, other experiences?
When I was 17 years old in India, I staged my own play called Aliza Free, which aimed to create awareness about problems faced by visually impaired people. I
Nice.
staged that outside of my school with a cast of 16 people who were all older than me. I was the lead actor and I directed all of them. To my surprise, the play was covered in quite a few newspapers.
Nice.
And at that time, my parents were not supportive of me pursuing acting.
Oh, they weren't. I was just going to come and ask
Yeah.
you that question.
Yeah.
Did you get family support or not?
Not until I was covered in a few newspapers.
Okay, well, that does it.
That
All
does
They
right.
have to make sure
Success.
you can be
Some
successful.
recognition.
Then
Yeah.
they give you.
Yes.
A little recognition goes a long way.
Yes, success finally
I
does
don't
it.
mind it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after that, I knew that this was it, and then thanks to that, I got into USC. And then at USC, I took part in plays and worked in a few plays and productions at USC. And this is my first play in LA outside of my college.
That must feel great.
It feels great, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions you?
What came up also for me is this play had a lot of different types of nationalities, different types of languages, background cultures, working all together.
Yeah.
So you have the director who's from Poland, you have two people from Iran, you had one person
Indian
in
Bollywood girl.
yeah, Indian Mali girl.
International.
Yeah, you had Americans, you had I don't know if you had British or it was just the accent of the British.
No, he's
No, he is, I think.
an
He's actually
American.
from-
No,
He's American, but
he puts on the accent.
He puts on the accent.
He
Okay.
puts on the accent.
How was this type of
Very convincingly.
yeah, very convincing. So how was this way of working in this kind of a global conversation, but also kind of international global cultures working together?
You wanna?
Humans are the same all around the world.
Very true.
But I-
Humans,
Very true.
humans, as long as they're humans, they're the
Good
same
point.
around the world. Some of us can be animals in the bedroom and still be humans.
Only in the
That's what I take pride in. But yeah, so humans are the same, and a lot of the times, all you need to communicate is an open heart and an open pair of eyes.
Yeah.
You don't even need the words.
Communication, basically. I mean, Nima and I really vibe because I'm the fake Persian here.
Hey, you're doing great.
Yeah, I love Farsi.
We'll give you the honorary Persian
Yes.
group, so you don't have to be the fake one.
Yes.
Honorary
I'm
citizenship.
the honor. Oh, I would love that. I would love that. So yeah, I mean, there were often times in the cast, when I was new and everyone was super stressed, and I just had to address that, guys, let's be patient. I'm the only female member.
I was just gonna say
in the
that
cast,
to you.
yeah.
That since you were the only female, did that make you feel any? How did it make you feel, rather? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, sure. I felt like at first, as a female, you have to hold yourself in a cast of all men. You have to be professional, you have to hold yourself. And then later on, I slowly opened myself up. But there was this one day where I was very honest with everyone about how I felt, and everyone was so supportive. And
Oh,
we all
nice.
came together and worked together to make this piece of art.
So after all, it's okay to work with a group of men, and they're not that bad.
We're
after all.
patient, men. We're patient. We're very patient, men.
That's
You
fun.
guys are lucky to have me.
Okay, no doubt about it.
There was this scene that the two of you actually were part of the scene together, where you were trying to take a hold of the space that you were about your strength and your needs and desires as a female, as someone who was there, and you in your role were trying to show her husband or lover that if she's just too much, that he could beat her and put her in her place. And that,
Slap her
slap
gently.
her
We
gently.
don't beat our women.
Exactly, thank you. Slap her gently, and you were advising. That was your gremlin side, advising the other guy. Coming from different places in female, male, the conversations you guys were having. How was that scene internally for both of you?
Do you want me to go first? For me, internally, I felt really strong in that scene to be able to voice against a man who believes that a woman must always be suppressed. So to be able to stand up against that was Anisha's version into the shoes of Maisha, protesting that I will only wear a burqa if I want to. No one will force me. It is for my will. Everything that I do is for my will, not for anybody else's will. As any other human, right? We all do things we want to do. So why can't a woman listen to her heart?
It is a privilege to have free will at all times. You know, it's like I've luckily had the opportunity to growing up in Iran and then seeing the world. It's in some ways, I really do believe it's two sides of the same coin. The ways we you know, people here, if somebody here doesn't want to see somebody, they can make sure that doesn't happen. And in a Muslim country, if somebody is hiding or is being forced to hide behind a facade out of protection, I think it's more of a reflection of the environment that they're in, and not so much the intrinsic value of wanting to impose your own will on somebody. Like a fire, if it's not contained, it will die. If it's not contained, it will.
Right.
And for me, doing that scene, you know, Anisha and I, we get along really well.
Yeah, it shows.
And I make sure that I use Jamil Ronak, who's playing Jamil. I build all that up to that moment. You know, every time I'm looking at her on stage, I'm going, oh, I know I can't have you. I know I can't have you, and that's frustrating. You know, a guy, after all, and to be respectful of both women and men, and people that I would consider my own brothers, people that I would go into a barracks knowing that we're gonna fight to the death with each other. Then there is that idea of making sure that I protect my brother, but also, you know, be respectful to. So then there comes the text. Then there comes the thing of like being by the book, and the book is a piece of art, just like all the other religious books. Even in the Quran, he says the disbelievers asked, should we give up our beliefs and believe a mad poet, referring to Prophet Muhammad as a mad poet. Shakespeare was referred to as a mad poet. Allen Ginsberg was referred to as a mad poet, but these are all works of art. Again, these are all mirrors showing us what we believe. So I actually love it when people say that they see rage in my character, because I am having too much fun. I am really having too much fun.
I'm surprised you mentioned that, because when we were on stage, I noticed you looking at me like as if you really like me, but also enraged that you can't have me, but I didn't pick onto that. And then I remember this was not part of the direction or anything, but I looked at you like, what are you doing? Watch The Prisoner. And those were nuances that we found. And now I realize, now that you mentioned, that you were looking at me like that.
Well, we're talking about Infidel.
Good
an
work.
amazing show.
Like the acting and directing is inside. Sorry,
No
I just
worries.
noticed something that I had to just blah 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 blah. say.
Totally.
So what you're saying is that you were regenerating the space consistently as you were there, and that's what you, without knowing anything, that was so much generated that you experienced the experience as if it's all real, while it wasn't real. You were regenerating it as that. Awesome.
Awesome. Really.
It's,
you
look
guys
at
are
her,
great.
look at her.
I like
So
it.
Look at her.
young and
No, look
so
at her. Seriously,
professional.
look at her.
I'm totally
It's really funny how
flabbergasted.
my main thing is comedy, and like I'm a comedian and I'm like in this role which is so dramatic, and now I realize that I really need to be vulnerable because I found myself crying in this role. So
Yeah.
Comedy is
Oh, wow.
harder.
Comedy is harder, I
It's
hear,
much
than
harder than
actual.
drama, yeah.
They
you
say
know,
dying
drama.
is easy, comedy is hard. That's
you guys should come to my
that's the
show.
proverb.
I host the
Yeah,
a
we
show
would love to. Yeah, I love comedy
Yeah.
clubs.
yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot of Iranian stand-up comedian. I'm sure
Yes,
you've heard of their
I know
names.
them,
Most of
yes.
them are my friends, and I'm
Yeah,
always in
amazing.
their shows. And yes, I have the pleasure of going to see them and also bring them on our TV shows and interview them. Anyway, let's not forget about the play. We want to introduce more about it so you know where to go and catch this play while it's out there. Okay, Infidel. میتونین اینو شب اولش اول سپتامبر بود که ما رفتیم دیدیم پریمیر تا اکتبر 7 هفتم اکتبر میتونید این نمایش رو شنبه ها و یک شنبه ها فقط ببینید. شنبه ها ساعتش 8 شب هست، یک شنبه ها 3 بعد از ظهر هست. من شخصا فکر میکنم زیر تینیجر دیدنش لزومی نداره. I don't know if it's any rating for this play, but since I've seen it, I think I wouldn't take any kids under.
We don't officially say don't bring your kids, but it's better that. And
What
the
do
kid
you
would.
think, Dr.
I
Emma?
officially say don't take your kids.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
White
It's better when
Fire-
others are assertive.
That's true.
Yeah. White Fire Theater,
Uh-huh.
and it is on Ventura Boulevard in Sherman Oaks. So,
چقدر جای قشنگی بود. It's a nice cozy play hall که میتونید برید این نمایش رو ببینید. همونطور که خدمت گفتم it's only another 4 or 5 weeks really left to see the
where can they find it if they just forget because they're not?
Infidel, place411.com/infidel.
Actually من اگه ببینم
Place
این رو-
411. Thank you for putting it up. Place411.com-infidel. So you can get all the information in case you.
یا اسم تئاتر هم اگه بزنید whitefiretheater.com
White Fire Theater in Sherman Oaks, California.
whitefiretheater.com تو شرمن اوکس در منطقه ولی که میتونید اطلاعات بیشتر رو جویا بشید. روی صفحه تیوی هم چند دفعه لطف کردن اتاق فرمان اطلاعات رو گذاشتن براتون. خیلی کار متفاوتیه. همجوری که ما در طول صحبت با مهمانانمون گفتگو داشتیم، واقعا it's not about Islam. این راجع به کل مطلب تروریسم، خب obviously توش راجع به اسلام نویسنده و کارگردان باید میگفته، برای اینکه به هر حال اینا همه به هم یه جورایی ربط پیدا میکنن و بعد کلا تاریخچه این مطلب و بعد انتخاب بازیگرا، انتخاب نوع داستان که اینا رو چجوری به هم وصل کرده، واقعا کار فوق‌العاده قشنگی رو انجام دادن. منتها همونطور که واقف هستید این نوع نمایش‌هایی هستن که مستقل هستن، مثل فیلم‌های ایندی موویز که مستقل هستن، استودیوهای بزرگ پشتشون نیستن که بتونن اینا رو همه جا باز بکنن، به همه سینماها بره. این تئاتر هم در همین حد و حدود هستن، ولی واقعا از کیفیت بسیار بسیار عالی و بالایی برخوردار هستن. بنابراین اگر اهل دیدن نمایش هستید و دوست دارید این نوع کارها رو، حتما بهتون پیشنهاد میکنیم که سری بزنید و تا این نمایش روی صحنه هست از دیدنش برید و استفاده ببرید.
همتون هم با دوستاتون برین. برای اینکه دلیلی که دارم میگم اینه که
ما با دوستامون رفتیم.
ما با دوستامون رفتیم. ولی یک از دلایلی که میگم از اون تئاتراییه که بحث برمیانگیزه براتون و جالبه که تو هر ما 5 نفر بودیم، هر 5 نفرمون ایده های مختلف داشتیم و داشتیم با هم دیگه جاهایی که ناراحتمون کرده بود، ایده هامون بود، با هم دیگه بحث می‌کردیم که هر کدوم این بازتر میکنه هم دوستیاتونو
یا دعواتون میشه.
واقعا خوشحالم که اینو میگین. ما واقعا میخواستیم که موقعیت صحبت کردن پیش بیاد. یعنی الان فضا جوریه که همه انقدر حساسن، انقدر حساسیت هست راجع به کوچکترین چیزا که بعضیا ترجیح میدن سکوتشون رو نگه دارن به اسم صلح، ولی سکوتی که توش راحت نباشه اون صلح نیست. و اینکه ما توی محیطی هستیم که این امنیت رو به ما میده، این اجازه رو به ما میده که بتونیم راجع به این چیزا دوستانه صحبت بکنیم، یه فضایی از همدیگه بگیم. فضا خیلی چیز مهمیه که اینجا هست و از این قلب منو گرم میکنه که اینو میشنم.
من خیلی خوشحال هستم که من اینجا هستم.
براو.
شما خیلی خوشگلی هستید.
شما
خیلی خوشگلی هستید. به به.
Thank you شما. Thank you you're learning Farsi and you're joining the Iranian groups of people and learning the language. ولی thanks for trying, thanks for being here. فوجان جون.
خوشحالم که دوباره با شما هستم.
Sitting here with you once again تا هفته آینده و برنامه دیگر. همه شما عزیزان بیننده رو به خدای بزرگ نگه می‌داریم. یادتون باشه که به فیسبوک سوزی خاتمی هم حتما سری بزنید، به یوتیوب چنل سوزی خاتمی همینطور که بتونید برنامه‌ها رو که آپلود می‌کنیم اونجا هم ببینید. البته اندیشه.tv هم برنامه‌ها رو همینجور دارن روی وبسایتشون، ولی به هر حال روی وبسایت سوزی خاتمی و یوتیوب هم میتونید روی چنل من اینها رو دنبال بکنید.
ممنونم از مهمان نوازیتون.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
تا هفته آینده.